Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Members of the parliamentarians have urged African leaders to build upon the benefits of utilizing the Universal Service Provision Fund to enhance information communication technology-based learning in the region. In an interview with members of the parliamentarians during the delocalized meeting of the ECOWAS Parliament held in Lomé, Senator Biodun Olujimi said it is imperative for ECOWAS member states to push for the utilization of the Universal Service Provision Fund in their respective countries so as to effect distance learning in West Africa amid COVID-19 disruptions to the education sector, adding that the belief of classroom education is over, hence the need to chart a way forward, especially as the USPF has already spelled out the plight of the underserved and rural communities. Olujimi, while citing the case of Nigeria, noted that USPF, which is currently domiciled with the Nigerian Communication Commission (NCC), has not been properly utilized, thus calling on the government to step up in enhancing the national policy goals for universal access and service to information and communication technology.
Now, we're concerned about the effect of COVID on learning, on education, on social life. And the general belief is that education has moved from the classroom to the streets, to the villages and everywhere. And the only way we can monitor and fund this is through the USPF fund, which is earmarked for the underserved. However, the USPF fund was not properly defined in the Act of the NCC, and it is very broad. We need to sit down together as a community and have an agreement across board, all 15 states, on what we want to do with the USPF fund in all the countries so that we're on the same page all over. Because with what COVID has shown us, there is need for education to be funded through a body, and the body must be able to provide free computers for those who cannot afford it. Schools must be equipped with internet and cheap computers that can help the students, because if you're talking about e-learning, which is going to take center stage from now on, students must be able to afford the gadgets required for their learning. And for you to afford it, there has to be the fund that will be used to always oil that system. There has to be a provision of Wi-Fi for some of the universities, where a student, when he wants to use the system for education, can go and sit and work on it. And then we must also come up with a law that will ensure that that Wi-Fi is not used for very wrong reasons, like downloading all sorts of funny things from the internet. There has to be a law guiding that, and when you provide such Wi-Fi in the universities, you must be able to know that you are providing during periods that it will be useful for students, and make sure that such gadgets are available to students in the university and in the secondary and primary schools.
Speaking on the social media bill, Olujimi charged federal government to exploit an alternative case on its proposed social media bill, which is currently before the National Assembly, to yield better results, emphasizing that total scraping on social media will do more harm than good, consequently urging the government to emulate neighboring countries like Ghana by adopting a system of blocking specifically unreliable platforms for the interests of the masses.
What we need to do is to prioritize. In Ghana, for instance, a law was passed last week which ensured that certain things cannot be downloaded from the internet and certain information cannot be passed. That's what is important. We don't need to shield our people per se from information, but we need to shield them from certain things that are unreliable. That is what we need to sit down to think through. And I believe when the Senate resumes, we're going to look at that, not to look at it. Yes, when it was expensive, it was used recklessly. But when we make it a lot cheaper, we will also guard it. Anything you leave for free and anything you leave for people to manage as they want cannot but have such problems. But the minute we look at it holistically and decide that these are the things we don't want, these are the things we want, then we will get it right. For instance, in some countries, you can no longer view pornography, and that is blocking unreliable sources of information. That is what we need to do. We need to block all those uh, information that we know are injurious to our nation and to the young ones.
On his part, Honorable Bamidele Salam also condemned the plan to impose social media restrictions on the citizens. Therefore, stresses on the need to regulate the laws that are already in place and focus more on educating the citizenry in order to ensure responsible social media usage.
With such a huge population must transit with the rest of the world. And they're all the other part of the world today are transiting to e-governance, e-commerce, and deployment of technology in the e-industry, in the ICT. If we do that, our young persons will be more competitive everywhere in the world. There are people today who are employed in India, employed in America, but who can work from Nigeria. They work remotely, but they can only employ them if they are well trained, if they have the capacity. I don't actually believe in the social media regulation. I think if we educate our citizenry, they will be able to use the social media more responsibly. If you come by way of law to limit access of persons to the internet, to social media, you'll be creating new problems, because then greater frustration and bottled up emotions will set in. But in the place of education, you can help people to use the social media handles in a more responsible manner. And of course, there are enough laws today to protect an abuse of the social media, to protect bullying of people, to protect laws on libel and so on and so on. They are all there now. It's only the educational aspect that will help the citizens to know that they are responsible for whatever they do on the social media. I think that is better than trying to limit access to the social media.
The Parliament's delocalized meeting has as its theme ECOWAS in the era of COVID-19 and beyond, focusing on information and communication technology (ICT), promotes distance education and training in ECOWAS member states. The meeting brought together experts and members of parliament from the joint committees on education, science and technology, telecommunication and information technology, and the Committee on Political Affairs, Peace, Security, as well as Committee on Infrastructure. Vincent Okushi reporting for Quality Television.
Audio Jungle.